everyone, Amber here from So Majestic. Welcome back to my channel. Can you believe it's already month 2 of Cotton Cut's Wild West Puzzle Mystery Quilt? I'm the ambassador for Josie. I am sewing up a large size. So thank you to Cotton Cuts for allowing me to be ambassador. This is my 4th Puzzle Mystery Quilt as an ambassador, my 5th one that I've done, and they're just so much fun. So today for month 2, out of sideways. This is our block, and we are sewing up 4 of them. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you do, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, please let me know. Also, if you have not already, I would love if you subscribed or gave me a thumbs up. It helps my channel grow, and I appreciate it so much. So enjoy. All right, we have our month 2 of our Wild West. I have my color card here like always because it has the fabrics in the back, and it doesn't matter if it's month 1 or month 10, I still always use this and keep it near me. I have my printed out clue. This month we have 4 of the same block. The second page is the instructions. This down here shows all the pieces in the pack. How I sew my blocks is I lay them all out on my pieces here, exactly like it shows in this picture. That way I know I'm grabbing from the correct place. So between my color card and that, it's how I stay on track. I have my pressing mat right near me. I am sewing on my older Singer 5528, and I do have Aurifil cotton thread in. And I'm using a 7010 universal needle. All right, so let's get started. So since we have 4 sections here, over here tells you the number of how many you're making for each one. So I'm dividing these numbers by 4. So for the video, I always do 1 complete block. But if you want to make all 4 at the same time, you're going to want to follow these numbers here. Right. So to get started, we need a large B triangle and 2 small S triangles. So I always lay my fabric out here first so I can see what the block is going to look like or what that section is going to look like. And then I will sew. So we're going to put right sides together. I start on the right hand side, lining up the edges. You can clip them or pin them. When they're small like this, I just kind of hold them in place. And I do a full 1/4 inch seam. Sometimes I just like sew. As a bag maker, we always backstitch in the beginning and the end. But one of the long armors that I was looking at said that she prefers when people backstitch. It just helps keep your pieces together. So I've actually started to try to remember to backstitch in the beginning and the end of each piece that I do. And I'm just adjusting my tension and my stitch length because I didn't do that from the last time I made a bag. And I do sew at the full 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm not good at the scant 1/4 inch. It always comes out different measurements every time I sew. So I just stick to the full 1/4 inch. The great thing about Cotton Cuts, if you are consistent with your seams, it will turn out fine. So we're pressing to the top right. So I'm pressing the back side first and then gently opening. I'm not tugging on it because I don't want to accidentally warp, and I'm not like ironing back and forth. I'm lifting my iron and pressing to make sure that that seam is pressed down. Okay, and now we need to do the left hand side. So I'm going to repeat the same thing. I have found that when I use the Aurifil thread, it curls, so I definitely have to hold my tails. If you're not in the habit, or maybe you're having that problem. I also find that hand cranking my needle down into the piece helps prevent the feed dogs from eating my fabric, especially on the corners. You could also use a scrap piece of fabric as a leader. That's not my preference because that's just another piece of fabric I have to cut off. Okay, and so this will be pressed to the top left. Again, gently opening that up. So like I said, if you are making all 4 blocks at the same time, you should have 4 flying geese in this colorway. This is step 1. We don't need it for step 2, so I'm going to set it to the side. So for step 2, we need to make 12. So for this, I am going to make 3. We need a large D triangle and then smaller B triangles to the top right and left. So I'm just laying them out. I'm going to chain stitch these, all the right sides first and then all the left sides. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, and I'm going to start with 1, put right sides together. So when I get to the end of this one, instead of pulling it out, cutting my threads, I'm just going to sew all 3 at once. So I kind of just line it right up underneath my foot, and my stitching just continues right on to the next one. I do watch because sometimes it will get caught in the seed dog.
Look at this.
Especially because these are coming to like a point where we're sewing. Okay, so then the third one. So now when I cut my threads, I am just snipping in between each one. And it just saves time and thread. And all of these, we are pressing them open to the top right. So I'm going to do that one at a time. And I like pressing the backside first. It just kind of helps this fold over easier for me. I think the next thing on my list is to get a wooden clapper. It's like a wooden piece that you could put over your seams to help hold them flat. It's not so much a problem for me with one seam, but you'll see as blocks get bigger, I think it would be more helpful for some of them. Okay, so now we're going to repeat that process for the left-hand side. And I'm going to do the same thing with chain stitching them. And I just make sure I take my time to line these up nicely. Okay, and then our last one here. Making sure they're right sides together.
Tablet.
So if you were doing all the blocks, you're going to be doing this for 12 of these. So since I'm only doing the one on camera, I have the 3. And I'm making sure I trim my long threads so that way I save time later on. Okay, and then all of these are getting pressed to the top left. if you're following along and you're not doing the Josie colorway, I'd love to know which one, or if you're doing Josie, let me know if you're doing that one too. I know that there are a lot of ambassadors doing all different colorways and both sizes. Cotton Cuts definitely has us all listed in their Facebook group, and they've been posting us on Instagram, so make sure to check it out because there should be someone doing your colorway. Right, so that there finishes step 2. Okay, so now we're on step 3, and we are joining our step 1. So I'm grabbing that from the side, and we are joining it to the top of step 2. So I already have step 2 here. You'll know that it is lined up correctly if you see here that our bees make that chevron shape. And here we have our bee fabrics making that shape. Here I have a point, but I do not have a center seam. So if I did, I would worry about lining that up. But since I don't, I'm just going to line up the top edge. Should line up pretty evenly. It's my favorite thing about Cotton Cuts. Everything comes cut for you. Don't have to worry about doing that. So it should match up. And then I do clip it because it is the longer piece. And for step 3, we are pressing our seams up towards the top. That's the way our arrows are going. Right, so we have this here. I'm going to set it to the side. So now we're on step 4. I need my last 2 flying geese, or 2 flying geese from our step 2, and we're just going to put them one on top of each other, and you should have 4 of these. And again, there's no center seam, so I'm just placing them right sides together, making sure my long edge is lined up. And like I said, I do like to clip this one because it is slightly longer. I don't want it to get pulled out of whack. Okay, and then this one, our arrows are pointing up again for our seams. So I'm going to press that, the back side first, and then gently open it up. All right, so this is our step 4. So you may notice, like over here, you can see that it overhangs a little bit. I do not trim my blocks up at all before putting the whole quilt together. So what will happen is I'm going to show you later on how I am going to hide this in the seam allowance when we sew it together. So don't stress if everything is not like perfectly straight. Like here, if you wanted to fix so your point looks nice, that's something. But if it's an edge that's going to get sewn, I don't worry about that too much. All right, so I'm going to set that to the side. So now for step 5, we need 8. So I'm going to do 2. I need 2 small F triangles. Those are up to the top right. And 2 small C triangles. Okay, and again, because I'm doing 2 of them, I'm going to change chain stitch them at the same time. And then when you're lining these up, you want to make sure that you're not tugging them because they will definitely stretch on you. Okay, and then I'll be pressing these towards our F triangle, which for Josie is the pink triangle, which will be going to the top right. Okay, and the same for this one here. And I'm going to set this to the side as well because we are on step 6 and it's using different colors. So it needs 2 C triangles and 2 E triangles. And E is this orange color fabric here. And again, I'm going to chain stitch these. You could even chain stitch steps 5 and 6 together. Save yourself time that way. For the tutorial, though, I definitely like to do it separate, especially if you are a new quilter or new to the Puzzle Mystery Quilts. And again, matching them up. And for these, we are going to press them again to the top right, but that is towards our C fabric this time, which is the green fabric. Okay, so now we're on step 7. So we need to join a step 5 unit to the top of a step 6. It says make sure F is in the top left and E is in the bottom right. So from step 5, here is our FC fabric. So I want my F fabric in the top left. And for here, I want my E fabric, which is the orange, in the bottom right. So it should make the strip here of green. Those colors should be together. And again, I'm going to put them right sides together. You can clip them if you need to. Just remember what side, because it's a square. I've definitely taken it to my machine and sewed the wrong side. So if you're not clipping, definitely just be mindful of that. And we're making one of these. The other two you're going to see in a second are different for step 8. Okay, and so this one has the arrow facing down. So we need to press it towards our E fabric. And then in the center here, there's like a little like thread coming through. I try to either, if they don't pull through easily, snip them as I'm going, just so that way later on I'm not cleaning up so much when I am putting my whole quilt top together or after. Okay, I'm gonna set this to the side for a second. We are working with these next two, still step 5 and 6, but step 8 is a little different. We need our F fabric to the top right this time, and our E fabric to the bottom left. So you can see they just have different orientations, but the green is still lining up. So I want to make sure I put my green right sides together and making sure I'm sewing the correct side. And this one is also being pressed on towards the bottom, towards the side that has the E triangle, the orange fabric in our case. All right, so step 9 is quite large. So we need our step 3 unit, which was this first one with the 2 different colored flying geese, the ones with the F triangles up top. So we need that. And we need to put our step 7. Step 7 is the one that had the pink or piece F to the top left. It's going on the left hand side. And then step 8 is going to the right. So laid out, it should look like this. We're going to sew them both on. So here it becomes a little bit more tricky. We have this center seam here. We have our center seam here. So I'm going to put them right sides together, and I match up that center seam first. They should nest together. If you press your seams correctly, that means one seam's going to the left, one seam's going to the right. So I clip that first. It's most important to me that that lines up, and then I clip my edges. Because if the edges are off a little bit, it's okay, but that center is a little bit more noticeable. Okay, whereas I'm going to stitch that side first. You can stitch the right or the left side first, whatever's works best for you. And I'm definitely mindful on the back that I'm not letting that seam flip over. My presser foot has a lot of pressure and it can't be adjusted because it's an older machine. So sometimes it likes to flip the seams underneath. So definitely something to be mindful of. Okay, and we are pressing towards the outside, so towards the right. So I'm pressing the back side first, then opening this up. And I'm gently opening it with my hands. This is where I'm talking about it gets kind of thick here, that I think a clapper would help, especially the center point. There's 6 different fabrics coming together right there. So it's a little bit bulky. If you need to give it some extra heat, you can. I never use steam or starch. I feel like it can shrink your blocks or warp them. So I'm just always using just heat. Okay, and you can see that that seam lined up rather nicely. I'm very happy with it. So we're going to repeat the same thing on the left-hand side, putting them right sides together. I'm turning it so I can see it. And again, nesting these seams. So I'm starting at that center, making sure that they are lined up first. And then lining up the rest of my blocks. Okay. And we're going to stitch this one. Okay, and this one, our seams are going to go out to that left-hand side. So I'm going to press the top first. And then gently open. Okay, so this is a good place to show you here. My seams are lined up in the center and I'm really happy with that. But if you look towards the top, it's a little bit longer. So again, that's just going to get hidden in my next seam allowance whenever this block would be attached to another. I'm way more worried or particular about my seams matching up here. And sometimes this can happen if you're not using a scant 1/4 inch or if it just slightly moves. To me as a quilter, it's not something that I stress about at all. Do not think it's going to ruin your quilt. It's very easy just to make sure that your next piece is lined up. All right, so we're going to set this to the side. We have step 10. So step 10, we need our piece that we made here in step 4. And this one we're adding 2 E rectangles, one to the left and one to the right. So this one is a little bit easier because we don't have a center seam to worry about. So for this, I am just lining it up with the edge. And again, it's going to overhang a little bit on each side. And that's because of the full seam allowance that I used, the 1/4 inch, when I attached the 2 flying geese together. And then for this piece, it's a little bit different. Instead of pressing our seams to the outside edges, we're pressing them inside towards those flying geese. So I'm pressing that backside first and then gently opening. And this is where I'm like, when I gently open, sometimes where the seams are thicker, they want to fold back the other way on me. So I'm just extra mindful of that. Yeah, we're going to do the same thing for this left-hand side. I just turn the block. I always turn the block so I can see it better. Like I can see the edge better. Sometimes I hold it up like right in front of my face to do it. So don't be afraid to move your block in different ways to help you clip it. And then this one is also being pressed towards the inside. So I am pressing the backside first. You can see where this part is kind of folding up. Sometimes I'll give different pieces some more heat as I'm pressing others. Okay, and then again, gently opening this. All right, and now we're ready to put them together. Our last step, we are attaching the piece that we made in step 9, to the top of the piece that we made in step 10. So this is going to be the bottom. This is going to be the top. So here, in grabbing some clips, here we have side seams. So I'm going to focus on them. I'm not worried about this center seam here in the flying geese because there's no seam here. I am going to put them right sides facing together, but then I'm going to rotate it so I can see them better. So I'm starting on the right hand side. our seams are nested. So I'm clipping that one first. Then I'm clipping on this left-hand side. If you followed the pressing instructions, the seams do nest and they should fit perfectly across. And then I'll line up the rest of my edges. Okay, and this is a long piece, so I'm just making sure, giving myself room here. And I'm putting my finger really close to the needle. I do have a stiletto. If you have something that can help you push it through, just be really mindful of that. You don't want to sew over your finger.
Remember.
And I just did it because I'm holding the seams in place is what's happening. I find that sometimes with my presser foot and the pressure that if I don't, that's when it will shift on me a tiny bit. Okay, and then for these, we are pressing towards the top. So I'm going to press the back side first. And again, you can see here, there's so many points coming together. If you want to give it more of a press, this is where I'm definitely going to be investing in a clapper. Okay, and then we are going to gently open this. What's nice is where we at least just sewed that line, there's not a lot of seams. So that folded open really nice. And that one I'm going to have to snip. Sometimes the little threads come through and pull nicely, and sometimes I need to snip them off. Okay, so we'll press from the front. Okay, so this completes our month 2 block of Wild West. If you're doing the large size, this is the Josie. You should have 4 of these. So definitely make sure that you post a picture in the Cotton Cuts Facebook group with your flat Nancy so you get a chance to win. And I hope you found the tutorial helpful. All right, so we have just finished up our month 2. Make sure that you post a picture with your flat Nancy in the Cotton Cuts Facebook group. Has all the information on the back, but gives you a chance to win some fun prizes. And the community is such a fun community to share with every month what you make and show our progress. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you, Cotton Cuts, for allowing me to be an ambassador. And if you did enjoy the tutorial, please consider subscribing to my channel or giving me a thumbs up. See you next month. Bye.